heard the story before. Another mall, another desperate makeover. But this time, Alpharetta's flipping the script. Think green spaces, bike trails, rooftop dining, not food courts and fountains. They've just committed to a massive transformation that will leave North Point Mall almost unrecognizable. The twist? It's not just about saving a mall. It's about reimagining an entire neighborhood. Will it actually work? Let's find out. Back in 1993, North Point Mall opened its doors and quickly became the place to be in North Fulton County. Let's talk about what has happened since then. So picture this, it's the early 90s. North Fulton County is just booming. Families are flocking here for the amazing schools and gorgeous homes. And then boom, North Point Mall opens at exactly the right moment. This wasn't just some place to shop. It was the weekend destination. I remember taking my kids there when they were little, and we'd spend an entire Saturday just wandering around. We'd grab lunch at the food court, maybe catch a movie. Oh my gosh, there was the American Girl store. Do you guys remember that? Everyone did it, right? It was where you hung out, where you met your friends, where you spent your weekends. But things have changed. Retail got absolutely hammered over the last decade. I mean, with Amazon and online shopping, traditional malls, they just couldn't keep up. And North Point, unfortunately, was not immune. One by one, stores started closing. Foot traffic dropped off a cliff. And meanwhile, all these newer shopping centers with outdoor spaces and entertainment options started pulling people away. Think about Avalon in downtown Alpharetta. That's a tough one, right? Because we all have these emotional connections to places like North Point. The memories are real, but the shopping habits, they're totally different now. The mall's currently weighing different redevelopment options. Actually, recent reports suggest they're not even negotiating new leases anymore, though a mall spokesperson did mention they're still exploring some retail partnerships. Here's what's fascinating though, right across from North Point Parkway at the Market Center with Nordstrom Rack, Target, and the food terminal, they're absolutely crushing it. According to city reports, they're seeing a strong tenant market as retailers look for alternatives to the mall. So what does that tell us? People still want to shop in person. They just want it different. They want convenience. They want to park, grab what they need, maybe sit outside and have a meal. The old school enclosed mall that we all grew up with just isn't cutting it anymore. But Alpharetta's not giving up on this idea, not even close. Let me show you their vision for completely transforming this place. But before we move on, if you've made it this far, you're probably enjoying the content. Hit subscribe to stay in the loop on the best spots in Atlanta's northern suburbs, real estate tips, and upcoming developments. So March 25th, 2025, it was a big day. The Alpharetta City Council unanimously approved what they're calling the North Point Development Framework Plan. That's huge, you guys. When a city council votes unanimously on anything that's a big deal, it means everyone's on the same page about where things are headed. So what's the plan exactly? It was put together by the firm called Star White House Consultants. And this wasn't some rush job. They spent 8 solid months working with city staff and stakeholders to create this comprehensive roadmap for revitalization. We're talking workshops, community input sessions, expert analysis, the whole 9 yards. And what makes this plan different from a lot of other mall makeovers is that they're looking at the entire district, not just the mall property itself. The big focus is completely reimagining the 1.4-mile stretch of North Point Parkway that runs through the area. Have you driven down North Point Parkway lately? It's like the poster child for the car-centric suburban design. Super wide lanes, high speed, basically zero consideration for pedestrians. I mean, it's great if you're trying to get from point A to point B in your car, but it creates this massive barrier that cuts the district in half and makes walking anywhere practically suicidal. The new plan flips this completely. They're turning it from a highway into this green boulevard with wide sidewalks, dedicated bike lanes, safer crosswalks, and tons of trees and landscaping. I've seen the renderings and they're absolutely gorgeous. You hardly recognize it is the same place. But what's really smart about this approach, guys, is that it tackles a fundamental problem with most suburban commercial districts. They're just not connected. People want to be able to park once and then walk around to different spots. They want pleasant, safe places to stroll. And businesses absolutely thrive on that kind of foot traffic. Now, the plan isn't just pretty pretty pictures either. It lays out practical steps for landowners and developers on how to reshape North Point into a greener, more walkable district that actually makes economic sense. It's not dreaming. It's a step-by-step roadmap. So let's break down exactly what's going on to transform this car-dominated area into a place where people actually want to hang out. One of the coolest shifts in this whole plan is how they're flipping the script on Big Creek, taking it from this forgotten backyard element to the star of the show. This is something I get super excited about. For way too long, developers have treated natural features like creeks as these annoying obstacles they have to work around, or they just ignore them completely. But this framework does the exact opposite. It puts Big Creek and the Greenway front and center, making these natural assets the main attraction. And get this, Jacob Lake, director of Star White House Atlanta, highlights how the future vision shifts focus, turning towards Big Creek rather than away from it. The plan includes new pedestrian and bike connections to the Greenway and brings more of the creek's natural ecological character into the heart of the district. I mean, how smart is that? They're taking something that's already there, this gorgeous natural feature running through the property, and leveraging it to create this value and make the whole area more attractive. The plan includes all these interconnected streets, trails, parks, and a green infrastructure to make everything more walkable. Just imagine how different your experience would be. Instead of driving to this massive parking lot and walking straight into a store, you're strolling along this beautiful creekside trail, stopping in a little park, maybe continuing on to some shops and restaurants. It completely changes how you interact with these spaces. We've seen this work amazingly well in other places. The Atlanta Beltline is probably the most obvious local example. They took this abandoned rail corridor and turned it into this incredible trail system that's generated billions in development. But there's also the High Line in New York, the 606 in Chicago, the Katy Trail in Dallas, all huge successes. These green corridors aren't just nice for jogging or walking your dog, they're economic powerhouses. Properties next to the trails and parks see their value skyrocket. Businesses along these corridors get tons more foot traffic. And everyone in the community gets these amazing amenities that make life better. The North Point plan includes new trails connecting to the existing Big Creek Greenway, creating this much bigger network. They're adding park spaces throughout the district for people to hang out, and they're incorporating all these green infrastructure elements and rain gardens that not only look pretty, but actually help manage stormwater runoff. But great green space alone doesn't make a vibrant district. You need to completely rethink how the whole area flows and functions. So the framework introduces this pretty revolutionary concept for suburbia, breaking up these massive super blocks into walkable, human-scale neighborhoods. Let's talk about something that might sound kind of technical, but actually has a huge impact on how places feel when you're in them: the block size. If you think about neighborhoods where you love to walk around, maybe a historic Roswell or downtown Alpharetta, they almost always have smaller blocks. The streets create this grid pattern that makes walking pleasant and gives you lots of different route options. But suburban commercial areas like North Point, they're dominated by what planners call super blocks. These enormous parcels with barely any streets running through them. They create these crazy long distances between places that force you to drive even if you just want to go next door. The North Point plan tackles this head on. It proposes adding a grid of streets using existing intersections and access roads to create smaller, more walkable blocks. And what's smart is they're not talking about demolishing everything and starting from scratch. It's about strategically adding new connections that break up these massive blocks into sizes that just make more sense for people. The brilliance of this approach is that it can happen bit by bit as properties redevelop. Each new project adds another piece of the grid, and gradually the whole district becomes more connected. The plan also maps out different types of developments that will blend housing, mixed use, and office space throughout the district. This is a key for creating neighborhoods that are alive 24/7. You need people actually living there, not just shopping or working. So they plan for areas with townhomes and single-lot, single-family homes, mixed-use spots with shops on the ground floor and apartments or offices above, office and employment centers to provide daytime activity and support local shops and restaurants, civic spaces like parks, plazas, and community facilities. And what sets this apart from typical suburban development is how these different uses are mixed together rather than separated. Instead of having residential in one area, shopping in another, offices somewhere completely somewhere else, they're all woven together to create this more dynamic neighborhood feel. So we've seen this approach work really well in other places around Atlanta. Avalon and Alpharetta and the Battery in Cobb County are perfect examples. They've been wildly successful at creating places where people actually want to hang out, and they've generated tons of economic value. But transforming a district like this takes serious money. So let's look at how Alpharetta plans to fund all of this. So transforming a struggling mall district takes some creative financing. And Alpharetta's come up with a pretty clever approach, I think. You know, whenever I talk about ambitious projects like this, the first question is always, how are they gonna pay for this? I mean, it's a great question. These big transformations, they don't just happen on their own, and they definitely don't happen without serious investment. Alpharetta's done something really smart. They've established what's called the Tax Allocation District Number 2, specifically for the North Point Activity Center. If you're not familiar with TADs, they're basically this incredible, powerful tool for kickstarting redevelopment. Here's how it works in super simple terms. The city draws a line around the district and says, this is how much property tax revenue we're getting right now. Then, as properties within that boundary increase in value because of the new development, the extra tax revenue, the amount above that baseline, can be used to fund public improvements within the district itself. It's like capturing the value created by redevelopment and then pumping it right back into the area. For North Point, this TAD will let the city leverage those tax increments to make all the public improvements needed to attract higher quality development than otherwise would be possible. The beauty of this approach, it doesn't require raising taxes at all. It just redirects some of the natural increase in tax revenue that comes from more successful redevelopment back into the district to support more improvements. It's this virtuous cycle that keeps building momentum, and the timing is perfect too. By setting up the TAD now before major redevelopment begins, Alpharetta gets to capture the full value of the incremental tax revenue as the area transforms. This creates a substantial funding source for all the public elements of the plan: street improvements, parks, trails, utility upgrades, all the good stuff. But we're already seeing the first steps happening. Construction is underway for the Encore Greenway Parkway, which will create walking trails from North Point Parkway to Big Creek. And the redesign of North Point Parkway itself, that central boulevard I mentioned earlier, is set to begin construction later this year. Alpharetta's community development director says the framework incentivizes human-scale development and encourages quality private investment. So it's not just about public improvement. It's about creating conditions that attract private developers and their capital. But now I want to talk about a super exciting possibility, an unexpected sports and entertainment anchor that could fast-track this entire transformation. So what if the mall's main attraction wasn't just retail, but a professional sports team? This is where things get really interesting. There's potentially a total game changer in the works that could fast track the whole North Point transformation. Former NHL player Anton Carter and the Alpharetta Sports and Entertainment Group are in talks with the mall owner New York Life about building an arena and bringing a new hockey team to the site. This is huge. Think about what sports venues have done for other developments around Atlanta. The Battery Atlanta around Truist Park, where the Braves play, completely transformed that corner of Cobb County. Mercedes-Benz Stadium has been a catalyst for development downtown. These venues create destinations that consistently bring people in throughout the year. A hockey arena at North Point would bring something retail alone just can't match: guaranteed crowds on game days. It creates this built-in customer base for restaurants, bars, and other businesses nearby. And it puts North Point on the map as an entertainment destination, not just another shopping area. So what's particularly brilliant about this potential addition is that it fits perfectly with the overall vision for the district. A sports venue works best when it's surrounded by walkable, mixed-use development with plenty of dining and entertainment options. It benefits from good transit connections and pedestrian-friendly design. All these elements are already baked into the framework plan. We've seen successful mall-to-arena conversions in other places too. The Nassau Coliseum on Long Island was built where a shopping center used to be. The Golden One Center in Sacramento, California was also built as a part of a downtown mall revitalization. These projects have jump-started broader economic development in their areas. Now, nothing's set in stone yet with these arena projects, but it shows the kind of creative thinking that could really help North Point stand out from the dozens of mall redevelopment projects happening across the country. Instead of just swapping out one kind of retailer for another, it would create a unique destination that serves both locals and draws visitors from all over. All right, let's put these pieces together and look at what North Point could become over the next few decades. So Alpharetta's 30-year plan for North Point is all about turning a struggling mall into a walkable, vibrant district that brings together nature, housing, and community. With green spaces, better connections, and even possibly a sports venue in the mix. It's a big shift, and if it works, it could show other suburbs how to reinvent themselves too. Are you thinking about buying or selling in Alpharetta or anywhere else in the northern suburbs of Atlanta? Well, I'm here to help. With 20 years of experience helping families find their perfect homes, I know where the best deals are. Feel free to email me at stephanie.patterson@colteamrealestate.com and check out my full contact info. It's in the description below. And before you go, don't miss my next video. It dives deeper into the northern Atlanta suburbs, their pricing, and exciting developments just like the one we covered. See you there.